Hello, everyone, and welcome back to This Week in Solar, your weekly roundup of the biggest stories in solar energy in 5 minutes or less. I have a big one for you today, and so I'm going to try to get right into it. This week's story is that Governor Josh Shapiro has threatened to pull Pennsylvania out of PJM interconnections territory and bring governance over power distribution under the jurisdiction of Pennsylvania. So what I'm hoping to accomplish here is to explain more about what PJM is, because I believe many people have heard of PJM for the first time in the last 1 or 2 years, and explain how it would work if Shapiro pulls Pennsylvania out and what could potentially happen in a situation like that. And let's get into it. So, governors from 11 states across the Mid-Atlantic and Midwest seem to be fed up with PJM, the nonprofit entity that manages the region's electric grid. PJM's capacity auction, which is the system that pays power plants to promise future supply, have hit record highs 2 years in a row, raising bills across the region. At a multi-state summit in Philadelphia last week, Josh Shapiro warned that PJM has months, not years, to reform unless they see some of these 11 states pull out of the region. Now, what they're asking for is formal seats for states in PJM's governance structure, faster interconnection for new energy projects, a stronger focus on consumer costs in PJM's decision-making, and transparency in how capacity and transmission costs are set. As a high-level overview, PJM has kind of been a black box for forever. They've been around for 98 years. There hasn't been a lot of transparency into their process, and up until the last couple years, the system seemed to work until we had these record increases, and then states have kind of realized that they want more of a say in the process and that PJM is not beholden to the states. So, PJM's capacity auction is one of the major contributing factors to consumers seeing double-digit bill increases last summer. Because of these increases, in just the last 2 years, hundreds of thousands of people are now hearing of PJM for the first time. State governors are arguing that PJM's slow approval of new projects and closed governance structure are making things worse. This is a quote from Governor Josh Shapiro. It's kind of an amalgamation of a couple different quotes that I put together, but this is the gist of what he's saying. We need states to have more of a say in how PJM operates. We need to move more quickly on these energy-producing projects, and we've got to hold down costs. If PJM cannot do that, then Pennsylvania will look to go it alone. If PJM refuses to change, we will be forced to go in a different direction. That is not a path that I am eager to chart, but I am not willing to stand idly by and let PJM dictate our future. We can produce enough energy for us, and we can produce enough energy at a far quicker rate than PJM is able to right now. That is Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. So what is PJM, and what is a capacity auction? PJM Interconnection is the largest regional transmission organization in the United States, managing electricity for more than 67 million people across 13 states and Washington, D.C. They cover Illinois to the Atlantic coast and from Michigan down into Virginia and North Carolina. They're headquartered right outside of Philadelphia, and as I mentioned, they've been coordinating the flow of electricity for 98 years, nearly a century. They essentially do two things. They act as the air traffic controller of the grid, meaning that they just direct electricity around from generators to utilities, and then the utilities deliver it to homes and businesses. They also run the wholesale markets where utilities buy electricity. These markets determine which power plants operate, how new projects connect, and how much electricity ultimately costs. One of PJM's most important tools is the capacity auction. In this auction, PJM looks several years ahead and pays power plants just to promise that they'll be available in the future. This guarantees that electricity will be available and reliable during times of peak demand, like summer heat waves or winter storms. Nearly a quarter of the charges on monthly bills in PJM states come from capacity payments alone. Those are passed on to consumers through utility bills. Now, The problem is that unlike other regional grids, states have no formal role in PJM's governance, which is a gap that state governors are now demanding to be fixed, because PJM's decisions go far beyond ensuring reliability. They set a lot of rules relating to, let's say, how to value renewables, storage, or demand response compared to gas and coal, how to allocate the cost of transmission upgrades, and how to forecast future demands, all of which is decided without state input. So unsurprisingly, states want more of a voice in the process than they've previously had. And that's what has happened at that summit in Philadelphia, and that's what Governor Shapiro is threatening to leave because of. Now, for years and years, PJM's markets kept prices relatively steady, but in the last 2 years, we've seen record increases in the region. Capacity auction prices, which were once as low as $30 per megawatt per day, which is you don't have to understand the number to understand that it's a lower price. It went up to $270 per megawatt per day in 2024 during their auction, and then cleared even higher in 2025 at a $329 per megawatt per day price cap, which was negotiated after Pennsylvania filed a complaint in 2024. So, in simple terms, starting in 2024, PJM's capacity auction came in at 8 to 10 times higher than typical levels for the price of electricity in the region. And PJM doesn't generate electricity, they pay generators of electricity to ensure capacity during peak times. Now, households across PJM's 13-state region have seen double-digit percentage increases on their power bills starting in June of 2025, with utilities warning that more price increases are coming in 2026. There are several reasons for this. The first is that PJM began tightening how it credits renewables and storage for reliability, which means that 100 megawatts of solar might only count as 8 to 10 megawatts of dependable supply. At the same time, demand has exploded, led by the AI and data center boom. Clogged interconnection queues, meaning just delays in connecting new electric projects to PJM's grid, aging gas plants, and supply chain problems for natural gas turbines have contributed as well. And last but not least, new solar, wind, and battery projects wait years in line to connect to PJM's grid. That means that cheaper resources can't enter the market quickly enough, which keeps supply tight and prices high. PJM's CEO has said that the organization is, quote, open to discussions, but warned that reforms could, quote, take some time. There are also a lot of unknowns that need to be answered about what it would actually look like if states wanted to strike out on their own, but understand that this is a crisis, and the fact that states are even considering this means that it's a serious problem. Now, here's where solar fits into this puzzle. PJM's rules make it way harder for solar to show its full value. In recent capacity auctions, PJM tightened the way it credits renewable energy towards reliability. A solar project that can generate 100 megawatts of electricity is only counted as 8 to 10 megawatts of dependable capacity because PJM assumes it won't always be producing at peak times. This conservative math means it takes far more renewable bids to meet the region's demand curve, which drives auction prices higher. And for anyone doing that quick math, it means that they value natural gas and fossil fuel projects 10 times more than they value renewable energy projects. Because it's so fast to deploy, solar is the fastest growing and most affordable source of energy in PJM's territory, but there are hundreds and hundreds of projects that are sitting there waiting to be connected that have not been connected yet. Solar is a way to bring new supply online quickly, lower long-term costs, and reduce reliance on older coal and gas plants that depend on capacity revenues to survive. Governors are frustrated that PJM's slow approval process is leaving new solar projects stuck in interconnection queues for years, while new fossil fuel projects are connected much faster. So in short, families across the PJM region are seeing higher bills, partly because solar and other clean energy projects aren't being connected fast enough. Governor Shapiro has argued that because Pennsylvania is a net energy producer, it can host new energy industries and expand renewables like solar, but only if PJM clears the backlog and lets solar projects move forward. So, under the current rules, the value solar provides is discounted, its growth is slowed, and the region remains more dependent on older, more expensive generation. Most governors pressing PJM for reform see solar as central to cutting bills and meeting the demand surge from AI and electrification. So time will tell, but there's a very good reason that Governor Shapiro and other governors are threatening to leave PJM's territory. That's all for this week. I'm sorry that this one was double the length of our normal podcasts, but I had a lot to go into. The sources for today's stories are all in the email below on Substack. If you are watching on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe. That is This Week in Solar, and I will see you next week.